Today I'm going to talk about component templates in BladeLogic server automation. I'll review their uses and how component templates apply in compliance and audit scenarios. What I'm going to begin with is just an analogy to kind of get your mind around how component templates can be helpful when it comes to managing servers. So first, if you think about a grocery store, it's just a bunch of products, and all of those products in the grocery store are organized by their type. So dairy is in one area, and your vegetables in another area, and so forth. And a server, in a lot of ways, is not that much different, especially when you think about how a server looks in BladeLogic. And we'll get to that in a little bit. So let's say you want to cook something. You need ingredients, and those ingredients are going to be located all over the store. It's kind of the same way when you install an application. Lots of times the elements of that application are located in a lot of different areas of a server. So just to take a basic scenario here, so let's say you are a manager of this national grocery store called Bob's, and your California stores are running a promotion, and it's chili promotion, and you want to make sure that all your stores have all the right ingredients in stock for this promotion. So first, you have to do some sort of inventory discovery. So where are all of our California grocery stores? Then once you figure out where those stores are, you need to then do some sort of compliance. So you want to make sure that every store in your California in California has all the right ingredients. And you want to make sure that those ingredients aren't about to expire, right? So that we won't be removing them from the shelves, or customers won't be returning them or getting mad after coming into this promotion. And then as far as remediation goes, we want to ship to any of the stores that don't have the right ingredients or have ingredients that are about to expire. And if we were doing this in BladeLogic, what we would do is build a component template. So one of the first elements of the component template is our inventory or discovery conditions. And we would define conditions like, the type of the store, the grocery store, the store name is Bob's, and the location is California. Then we would think about the parts. So the parts would be just the things in our promotion, so the ingredients to make the tastiest chili in town. And then once you figure out what those parts are, we can then begin doing rules against them. So the rules that we're going to have for this particular compliance remediation scenario are that every ingredient has to be from the brands in our promotion, and the expiration date must be at least 3 weeks away from whatever the current date is. And then the remediation will be every ingredient in the promotion with an expiration of more than 3 weeks from now. So what we're going to do first, so we've defined our component template, in the BladeLogic world, we've defined our collection and the rules and the discovery conditions. So now we're going to actually put this component template into action. So we're going to run this discovery job. We're going to discover all of our grocery stores in California named Bob's, and that's going to create these things called components. So a component is just an instance of our component template that is associated with a server. So, in this example here, it's just going to be, the instance of, our promotion in a California store. Then what we're going to do is make sure each of those ingredients aren't expiring and they have the right brands. So we're going to run our compliance job, and we're going to then view the results. And then we're going to ship the ingredients that don't meet our compliance policy to every store. So every store is going to get their own box, and it's going to have all the ingredients, with the brands in our promotion, and all those ingredients, won't be expiring in the next 3 weeks. So in the BladeLogic scenario, how this comes into play, if I'm, say, a Windows administrator, and we want to make sure all of our IIS deployments are compliant. So, I also am not completely sure where IIS is installed on all my servers, and I know there's been some complaints about inconsistent IIS deployments. Maybe the log directories are different, or the installation directories are different, or the service types are, set to manual when they really should be set to automatic, and so forth. So we need to go about and make sure our IIS deployments are compliant, but we also have to make sure we know, discover where IIS is installed on our servers. So, just like in our grocery store analogy, when you browse the live view Logic, all of those elements, all of those things on a server are organized by their type. So, in the grocery store, you have your vegetables area, you have your meats and fish. So just like in the live view of a server, you have your file system, your local users, local groups, registry, security settings, and so forth. But if you remember, when you install a lot of applications, especially in Windows, those applications will put things all over the server. So you'll see things under services, you'll see things under the file system, registry, maybe a local user. You'll see the program listed under applications and so forth. So what we want to do is create this, customized view or this custom bundle of those objects to make it a lot more efficient to manage, our applications. And in this example, we're going to do that for IIS. So, our ingredients are a few directories and a couple services and a metabase key. And notice we can also do fancy things like, having includes and excludes on specific directories. And then in a audit snapshot scenario, we can say, what specific things we want to look at for the parts that we've selected above. So just like, we're going through the grocery store on a shopping cart, we're picking all these things. The same is true when we're building a component template and choosing parts. Now, the discovery conditions, this is a little bit of an older screenshot, but the idea is still exactly the same. What we're doing is defining the attributes for us to say, yes, this server has IIS installed. So we don't, necessarily have a list that's, in front of us, and, we just want to make sure that, we include all the servers that have IIS. So we're just saying the IIS admin service must exist, and the World Wide Web publishing must exist. And then another condition we have is we can do things like saying, target WebDir, which is a BSA property. We're saying it must be defined. It must contain some slash. But really, these conditions can be anything we want. We could even just have it be one service or one file, or really anything you see under that live view of the server. As we continue building out our component template, we can, we've added our parts, we've added our discovery condition. We can also add rules. So the rules are, exactly what our policy is. So, thinking back to the, previous, Bob's grocery store example, we'd be putting in, store name equals Bob's, type equals grocery, and location equals California. Well, here we're saying, this particular metabase value must exist, and the, string value must begin with C:. Now, when it comes to discovery, so let's say we've gone through and defined all our conditions, all the things we want to, include in our policy. Now we want to go out and say, okay, where are the servers that have IIS? So this is, the action of, running this discovery job. So the discovery, we run it against our group of servers, and it comes back and finds all the servers that have IIS installed according to the conditions in our discovery area of the template. And what you'll see is that we can browse the component template, and through the component template, we can see all of the components that have been discovered. And vice versa, what we could also do is go to the server, under the server view, and see the components that are installed. So we could get the same view under the server. So, you can either go to the template and say, show me all of the servers out there that have the template installed, or you could also go to a server and say, show me all of the components that have been associated with you. So once we run our compliance job, the thing that makes sure this server matches our policy, we can find the servers that aren't compliant. So, in this simple example here, in our server view, we can see that Win1 is compliant because it's not bold, but we can see that Win2 has an inconsistency, and we can click on that and see what the inconsistency is. And if we've defined our remediation, so in the BSA world, this would be a BL package that has the change to deploy the correct value, we could decide if we wanted to remediate or not. So in regards to just audits versus compliance, why do we perform compliance in the grocery store scenario as opposed to just doing a snapshot or an audit? Well, the first reason is that each store has to have an ingredient from a preferred brand list, meaning, it could be from brand A or brand B or brand C or so forth, all the things in our promotion. And also each ingredient needed to have an expiration of at least 3 weeks away. So, we're not looking for a specific date. It's more we're looking for, the ingredient to have a specific condition that, is, can be, really any number of dates as long as it's past a certain value. And it's also just because these requirements involve some sort of Boolean logic. So whenever that happens, compliance is the answer. So when could we have used snapshot audit? So this is, now we know when we need to run compliance. Well, when could we do compliance? If we were looking for a specific brand, so if there was only one brand that we needed to use, if we're looking for a specific expiration date and we didn't care, or we didn't care about it, or if we had some gold standard, meaning, here's products 1 through 10, and just make sure these products 1 through 10 exist on all our targets, and we could even use that as a source for deployment to other targets. Or, say an example of IIF, if there was a specific directory, and we could snapshot that on a gold server, and then run that in an audit against our targets, then we could, use a snapshot audit scenario. So in conclusion, when you're performing compliance or audits, best practice is to always build a component template. It's just a great way to model all the objects in your environment. And in general, component templates can be used for things like inventory and discovery, snapshots and audits, packaging and deployment, compliance, and remediation. And that is it. Thank you.